Welcome back to Learn SKN, and today we're going to continue looking at the May, June, July, August, whatever you want to call it, the POB, paper 1 from last year, 2020. So we're looking at the 2020 multiple choice POB paper. So we left off at number 20 last video, and so we're going to pick right up at number 21. I'm going to continue going down to maybe 40, and that would be that for this video. All right, so let's just jump back right into it. The term human resources refers to, so you have these options: materials and goods made by human beings, capital invested by shareholders in a company, raw materials used in the manufacturing of goods. And so the answer we chose is D, persons available for productive and professional services. And so human resource refers to the people. Remember, there are factors of production: land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. And so the human resource would be those who are part of that workforce. So your human capital or human resource would be the people that engage in production. Cannot be materials, cannot be capital, cannot be raw materials. So it is not land or capital or any of those things. It's the people who are being used in production or in an organization, etc. So the people are the human resources. 22. Which of the following are not linkage industries? And so we have fishing and farming, we have agriculture and tourism, we have sugar and confectionery, we have lumber and boat building. So which are not? See there, of course, they highlight not. So which are not linkage industries? And so the best answer here is A, fishing and farming. The reason why we said A is because fishing and farming both are part of the primary level of production, and so both are extractive. And there, when you're looking at linking, we're talking about the output of one becoming the input of another, or something along that line, right? So you have a backward linkage, a forward linkage. Not care how we twist or turn this one, there's really no forward linkage or backward linkage at this point. So agriculture and tourism, of course, there's a forward linkage, there's a backward linkage. If you run a restaurant, a hotel, of course you want to link with someone producing the fresh vegetables for you. You want someone who producing the fresh herbs or spices for you as a restaurant, things like that. Also in agriculture, you can have a link forward to tourism in the such as ecotourism, where you might have a nice orchard of local produce, local fruits and vegetables, and you allow, let's say, persons off a tourist ship to come onto your farm, your orchard, pick the local stuff that they wouldn't taste otherwise. And so that could be a form of eco-tourism, where you use the agricultural produce, your land, your farm, as the attraction for tourists. You have sugar and confectionery. Clearly, to make your sweets and things like that, you need sugar. And so you can have a backward linkage as somebody who supplies confectionaries to a sugarcane field or a factory that produces sugar, whichever one. And so you can link with them to get the sugar so that you can make your confectionaries. So that's a linkage right there. And the next obvious one is lumber and boat building. Now boats need lumber in order to get them constructed, and so there's a linkage, an obvious linkage right there between lumber and boat building. Number 23, productivity can be measured by, and we have four different formulas here. A, input over outputs, then you have input over revenue, and we have output over inputs, and D, revenue over output. And so the best answer here is output over input. If you want to put it better, you want to know how much the average, so it's basically an average in a sense. You want to know how much input would produce exactly how much output. So you'd use that to measure productivity. Like for example, how many bakers does it take to produce 1,000 loaves of bread? Or 1,000 loaves of bread is produced by X amount of bakers. So you're measuring the productivity right there. These other ones are not really used to measure the productivity level of a production system, right? So output over input, so you take your input, you divide it. For example, your input might be one of the factors of production. Your input might be the land, how many square feet is used to produce whatever the output is, let's say, vegetables. Your input can be labor. How many persons does it take to produce X amount of output? It can be capital. How much money does it take to produce whatever the output is? And so that's why we have productivity being is a measurement of production. Productivity is a measurement of production. And this is the best formula used to measure production. Okay, 24. Which of the following are examples of fixed capital? And so fixed capital are those capital assets, are those capital resources that do not change with levels of output. For example, level of production. For example, you have your fixed capital, you have your working capital. The working capital is the one that changes based on level of production. And so we have some options here: cash balances, bank balances, plant and machinery, stock of raw material. And of course, all these would change based on the level of output. So you might have to spend maybe $10,000 in cash for this batch, or maybe $5,000 in this batch, but it changes based on the level of output. The higher the output, maybe the more cash you might have to use. The higher the output, maybe the lower your bank balance go. You have to pay more people because you have to hire some more people, so therefore maybe the wage bill might be higher and so your bank balance go lower. So that's variable. Then you have stocks of raw materials. Clearly, if you have a stock of raw material and you're engaging in production, it cannot remain the same after you have produced. So when you produce just one item, your stock of raw material would have been reduced by 1. So the best answer here is, of course, plant and machinery. Because if you produce 1,000, the machinery is still going to be there. You produce 5, the machinery is still going to remain the same. So the factory, the plant, is not going to reduce in size based on how much you produce, because that's fixed. A building, right? It's a fixed building. The only way the building would change is in the long run. But production would not cause the building to change in its quantity, right? So fixed capital are those that don't change with the level of production, such as machinery and the actual physical structure. Number 25. Which of the following industries could be classified as extractive? Extractive means taken from God's earth that He gave us, right? So you have 1, fishing, 2, mining, 3, forestry. And of course, extractive, take away from the earth. And so all of them, 1, 2, and 3, are industries found in the primary level of production or extractive. So fishing, of course, you take fish, lobster, prawn, whatever from the ocean, the river, the lake. Mining, you take your bauxite, your gold, the silver from the soil, so the crust of the earth. And forestry, of course, you take in your trees from the forest. All right, 26. Which of the following activities is most likely undertaken in a cottage industry? And so a cottage industry is a small business that's usually based from someone's house, right? So it's kind of literal, cottage industry. And so the options you have here: building of boats, bottling of soft drinks, making of sugar cake, repairing computers, right? And so you have these options here, but you see they said most likely, so you have to understand 16 asking you for no exact thing here, because the reality is you can repair computers from your home, yes. You can build a boat in your backyard, sure. You can bottle soft drinks on a lower scale from your home, but they said most likely. Now, building a boat would require you to be done by the ocean close, so that when you finish, you can put it back to sea. So you dry that need to be close enough to the water. So more than likely, you would not be living in the same place building boats, right? But you have soft drink to require a lot of high-tech machinery to some extent, and so more than likely you're not going to be doing that in your house. You must do, boil some Marby or some ginger beer or something, put them in a bottle on your stove or whatever, and that's the most you'll do from drinks from home, right? Then repairing of computers, yes, you can do that from home also, but you might need space for parts and, extra inventory space and things like that. And so more than likely it's not going to be from your home. You might have an office somewhere, small or whatever. But making of sugar cakes, that's the most likely one that you'll do from home. A lot of persons do that. They make the little confectionaries from home, the jawbreakers, the sugar cake, whatever. And then they sell them on a tray or to school children passing by, that kind of stuff. So the best answer is D, is C, making of sugar cakes. So they say most likely. 27. Which of the following outcomes is least likely to occur from the growth in an organization? Again, They're not looking for nothing that is concrete. That's why they say least likely, because most of them can happen, but they say least likely. And so the options you have here are greater productivity, B, more division of labor, C, increased communication, and D, increased capital investment. And of course, the option we've gone with here is C, increased communication. They say least likely. So what they're saying here is that as the business grows, communication becomes more problematic. There are too many. They might have new levels of management, new levels of supervisors. You have more people in the organization. And so when you had a small company, the boss would know all of his workers. They see each other every day. They talk on a friendly basis. But as it grows, communication might become more difficult. You might not even know who your boss is. You might see a memo. You might reach you late. Things might trickle down slowly because you have so many different levels of management. And so increased communication is least likely to happen if a company grows, right? Productivity, sure, more people, more resources. So productivity, that's one of the reasons you might want to grow your business, right? You might want to increase your business because productivity. Division of labor, of course, as a company grows larger and larger, you can now, whereas in a small company, you might have one person doing 10 things. In a larger company, people can specify and specialize in just one area. And then D, increase capital investment. You're growing, so of course you have to hire more people, buy more equipment, that kind of thing. So of course you are going to be increasing your capital investment in your firm. But increased communication, that's least likely to occur. In marketing, a market is best described as. So in marketing, a market is best described as, and of course again, you see these words they're using, nothing definitive. So that's why they say the best answer in multiple choice. What's the best answer? So A, the reason for the elimination of barter. Well, that would be money, of course, so it cannot be A. B, a situation in which buyers and sellers interact, and that's the one we chose. But let's look at the others. A place where various types of fruit and vegetables are sold. Technically, that can be a market, but that's why they said best described. And then you have D, the management process responsible for satisfying consumer demands. Again, that could be a market where you have a market for shoes, a market for whatever, but they said best described. And so the best answer here is B, a situation in which buyers and sellers interact. So again, the market does not have to be a physical place. That is why C is not the best answer. It doesn't have to be a physical place. So the best answer is a situation, because you can have a market online. You can have an online market where buyers and sellers meet online. Amazon, eBay, those kind of things. You can have it on a phone. You can call somebody, sort out some business arrangement, and have it like that. So it's not anything physical. It's a situation. And so that's B. 29. Which of the following pricing strategies is used by a firm to introduce a new product to the market at a low introductory price? So the very low price of $19.99. Those kind of commercials you see. So we have some options here: market skimming, penetration pricing, competitive pricing, discrimination pricing. And so this is taken from marketing, and we're looking at pricing strategies. And so we went with penetration pricing, and that kind of obvious in the sense that penetration meaning you want to get into a new market. So you want to find a way to penetrate that market, get into that market. So of course you're going to price your product accordingly to get into that market. Market skimming is where you would charge a high price for those early adopters. So when the Xbox Series X came out, when the PlayStation 5 came out, of course, you see all the ridiculous pricing to the top, only for those early adopters. So who want it, go and get it at an exorbitant price. Then you have competitive pricing, where, of course, as it says, you're pricing competitively as it relates to your competition. So those who you're competing with, you want to price along the same range as them to make your price competitive. And then we have discrimination, where you would price your product based, for the same product, you would charge different prices for different groups of people. For example, a movie ticket, you might charge, higher for adults than you would for children. A barber with a haircut, you might charge higher for adults than you would for children. But to get into a new market, what you want to do is to penetrate the market, and so penetration pricing is the best answer here. Number 30. The producers of power drink promotes their drink over the producers of energy plus drink in their advertisement. This type of advertisement is referred to as, and so we have collective, we have persuasive, informative, and competitive. And so the best answer here is persuasive, because there are really two main types of advertisement. You have informative and you have persuasive. And informative is used to give information about the product, on an organization, opening hours, location, price, that kind of thing. But persuasive now is used to try to persuade buyers into buying that product and getting away from other people's product. You're not going to straight up compare your product to someone else's, because you might get sued or something like that. But the way you put it over, the persuasion you put into that advertisement the main goal is to lower you from thinking about anybody else's product and think about this one in particular, persuade you to buy this one as opposed to that one. So the producers of power drink would use persuasive advertisement to try and lower people from even thinking about energy plus drink. So that's persuasive. 31. The term loss leader is best described as a product which, and again we have some options here, has no real market value. Not really. Can't work. B, the retailer is unable to locate. So that's too literal and it's not even the real loss, right? So by elimination, B is out. C, sold cheaply to attract customers, and that's the one we're going with. But they have an option D, the retailer gives away to customers. We don't give away no loss leaders. So a loss leader is a product that is sold cheaply to attract customers. And so you see it happens all the time in supermarkets, in gas stations and stuff like that, where you have something cheap up front to lure people in, and when they come in, you have something more expensive close to that product or around that product that might, grab somebody's attention, and then they end up buying more than they bargained for. So they're gone in, the intention is to spend $5 on this cheap thing, then all of a sudden they see it's surrounded by other things, more expensive things, and they come out spending maybe $100 just like that. It happens to all of us who go shopping. You go on in, say, I'm only buying one thing only. Next thing you look, you see something else, you end up buying more than you really wanted to. And so that's what loss leaders are for. They're sold cheaply to attract customers, so that customer can buy all the expensive things in the store or in the organization. 32. Under which of the following conditions is a trade discount used? Normally a trade discount is used for bulk purchases, bulk shopping. So somebody is a regular customer or something like that, then you want to incentivize them to keep buying in bulk. And so when they buy in bulk, they get things cheaper. And that's one of the reasons why they say buying in bulk is cheaper. Sometimes you get a discount because your volume is so high that the company say, keep coming back, man, keep buying. And so they incentivize you to buy more. And so that's what they use trade discounts for, to encourage you to buy in bulk, buy more of the products, right? Good. 33. John has sought permission to prevent the local art gallery from reproducing and selling his paintings. This legal means of protecting his work is referred to as, and so the best answer here is, well, let's look at the options. A patent, a brand, copyright, franchise. And so the best one here would be the copyright, because copyright are legally when something is copyrighted, you cannot reproduce it. But it normally pertains to works of the brain, so songs, movies, books, video game, that kind of stuff. So now it pertains to intellectual property. That's the word I'm looking for, intellectual properties. So that's what copyright is normally used to protect against people using them or reproducing them. And so that's what the painting would be, an intellectual property. And so a copyright is the best thing to do. Normally when you see a show finish, a movie finish, and to the end you see copyrighted and you see data and stuff like that, right? Now a patent, on the other hand, is a way of doing something, right? So that is more technical, is more a way of a new design, a new way of doing something. So they would file a patent for a new way of maybe producing something, of designing something, of making something. So a patent is for protecting more physical, more tangible ways of doing things, right? Whereas a copyright is more intellectual property. of course, brand is just a unique mark that is used to identify someone's product from another. Of course, you cannot use someone's brand, and so you're going to trademark that brand so that people cannot use it as they wish. All right, number 34. Which of the following factors is least likely to influence consumer behavior? Least likely. Again, nothing too direct, so they're talking about least likely because all the others can, but which one is the least likely to influence consumer behavior? And so we have A, product price, B, brand loyalty, C, quality of the goods. And of course, price, there's no least likely about price. Price can influence your behavior in a major way. That's why you have supply and demand. If the price is too high, you're not going to buy it. If it's too low, you might be a little suspicious and say, okay, maybe that's cheap or something. Might not buy it. But just what we're saying is that the price, whether it is high or low, and sometimes when it's low, you buy 10 of what you normally would buy 4 or 5 of. So the price does impact, so it's not least likely, it does influence consumer behavior in a major way. Then brand loyalty, same way. If you love something, you see the Apple fanatics out there, right? They don't care about the price, nothing. It's Apple, they're buying it. You see the Samsung loyalists out there. They don't care about anything, it's Samsung, so they're buying it. So brand loyalty does influence your behavior as a consumer in a major way. And then we have quality of goods. That goes without saying. You buy something, it's cheaply made, more than likely, you're not going to buy it again. But if it's quality to $1, you get bang for buck, of course, you're going to say, okay, yeah, it might be a little cheap, but it lasts long enough to what I want it for, and so you might buy it still because you get a good bag and a good deal. If it's high quality, of course, you're willing to spend the money, for example, shoes, a car, electronics, those things. You buy something that's quality and you're willing to spend the money. That can influence your behavior. You're going to know, okay, if I buy this, it might cost a lot. No, but the quality going to last. And so you buy it. Now, the only one least likely to influence consumer behavior would be D, place of residence. Why? Because of globalization. The world is a real small marketplace now. So you can stay in the Caribbean and order anything you want from overseas. So residence where you live has no stay really. That's why it's the least likely, because it does to some extent, but for the most part it doesn't. So place of residence, you stay where you're at, Jamaica, Trinidad, St. Kitts, Antigua, Grenada, St. Vincent, wherever you are, and you can order your stuff online. Get them shipped to a freight forwarder, E-Zone or whoever else you might be using. Get them shipped there, and then they reach your doorsteps in a week or two. Amazon Prime, 2 days in a week, you got your stuff. So place of residence today is least likely to influence consumer behavior. You want it, wherever it is, you're going to get it because it can reach to you in today's economy. All right, 35. Which of the following is not a function of the retailer? And we have seen this many times, and so we know the answer for this one, but let's go through the options still. Preparing food for resale, selling goods in small quantities, providing a local supply of goods, transporting goods to suitable storage facilities. And so a retailer is a person who, that's where you go. That's the supermarket. You go to your high-lows, your general foods, wherever. That's the retailer. And as such, you know that preparing food for resale, that's part of their job. They have the bulk to the back, they break them down to sell you individually. Selling goods in small quantities, like I said, they are not like cost you less or price smart or anything like that. They sell in bulk. They're not a wholesaler, they're a retailer, so they sell in small quantities. They break down the big bulk into smaller quantities. So, C, providing local supply of goods. Of course, they provide goods for the neighboring communities, your neighborhood, your community, they provide goods for that area. But D, transporting goods to suitable storage facilities, that's more in line with what a wholesaler would do, warehousing, storage. So that's more of a wholesaler's job, not a retailer, right? So 36. Tom invests his savings by buying shares in a company. From this investment, Tom expects to receive dividend. A, dividend. So when you buy shares in a company and the company makes a profit at the end of the year or the quarter, whatever, they would repay your purchasing their shares with what you call dividend, right? So your dividend amount can vary based on how much they decide to pay out, but the answer here is dividend. 7. In business, logistics is defined as. So we have a whole lot of reading here. A, managing data from conception production and storage to retrieval. B, using a small systems to move an idea from conception to production and then sales. C, the one we chose to go with, managing resources from the point of acquisition, storage and transportation to their final destination. But D, formulating a business idea, systematically gathering data, then following through with production. So the best answer here, of course, logistics would be C, managing resources from a point of acquisition, storage and transporting to their final destination. And the best, when you hear about logistics, the best thing that comes to mind would be courier services like, your FedEx, your DHL, those kind of companies. And that they are the ones who manage resources from the time they pick it up, they store it in the warehouses, and they transport it to the final destination. That's logistics in a nutshell, right? So the whole thing about ideas and stuff, ideas are more intellectually based. You cannot touch an idea, right? So you can't really touch an idea. This is more like a marketing flex. So all is more marketing. We talk about using systems to move an idea. That's more of a production, marketing, that kind of thing. So, but logistics, when it comes to logistics, we're talking resources. Moving them from one places to the next. From point A to point B, start to finish. Alright, 38. Which of the following documents shows ownership of imported goods? A, bill of lading. B, import license. C, letter of credit. Or D, bill of exchange. And so the best answer here is bill of lading. So when you import something, when you buy something from Amazon, when you ship something from on a freight company, they are going to have what you call a bill of lading. That bill shows ownership of the goods. And so for you to actually get that in your hand, that's when you have to pay for the actual freight and duty and stuff like that, because you cannot get your goods in your hand unless they turn over the bill of lading to you. And to get that, they have to get paid. So I don't know if any of you would have gone with your parents also to clear something at customs, a barrel, a washing machine, a fridge, something. But the paperwork that you need, the bill of lading, is what shows ownership. It belongs to the shipping company until you pay the money for them to hand it over to you. So that's the bill of lading. Number 39. JB Auto Company decided to export car engine from Barbados to Trinidad. Which of the following methods best suited for transporting the engine? So again, you see they said best suited because yes, it's transportation. You can use air from Barbados to Trinidad. They have cargo planes. But is it the best? No, because it's very expensive. Right? It's quicker, yes, but it's very expensive. Then you have B, C, you have B, the C rail, and D road. So it cannot be C or D because Trinidad, Barbados, they are separated by water. So it cannot be rail, cannot be road. Because as far as I'm concerned, in the Caribbean, we don't have any underwater rail systems or above water rail or road systems. Here again, I said, it's a short. I mean, from Barbados to Trinidad is relatively short. So to use E would be inefficient, wasting money, wasting resources. So the best answer is B, the C. Can carry more and it's cheaper. Alright, so the last one we're going to do for this video now. This video is 40. A debenture holder is one who A, is paid a fixed rate of interest if the company makes a profit. B, must be paid any amount owing to him in the following year. C, has first claim on any profits and is paid a fixed rate of dividend. Or D, is entitled to a fixed rate of interest whether or not the company makes profits. And so the answer is D, they're entitled to a fixed rate of interest whether or not the company makes a profit. So these are ways in which companies can fund their business. So if you're looking for financing, these are ways you can raise finance. You can either go this route, which is a debt route, where somebody give you some money to help you start the business, and then later on you get paid, you get it back with some interest. Whether the company succeed or not, whether they profit or not, you owe that money on the date that they say you're gonna get it on. You can also use what you can finance other ways, such as shares. You can sell shares, but the difference, when you sell shares, the person who buys shares become a part owner of that company. Debentures, no, they're not part owner. You owe them, so you pay them off with the interest. That's it for that transaction. But shareholders, you pay them dividends every year as long as they own stock because they're part owner of that company. All right, so that's it for this video. That's number 40. Next one, we're going to look from 41 all the way up to 60 and call today on the June, July, August 2020 paper 1 for principles of business for CXC. So that is it for that. All right, so make sure you subscribe, you hit the bell to know when I drop the last part 3 of this paper, and of course subscribe. All right, subscribe, spread the love, share the videos, hit the like. Oh yes, hit the like button, my friends. Hit the like button so that we can have a nice little reaction for YouTube, so that I can push the content into more recommendations. All right, so hit the like button for us, please. All right, so that's it for now. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening.